everybody, Huey Lewis here. Welcome to Huey's Animated Movie Reviews, the show where I review animated films from old to recent, whether they're hand-drawn, stop-motion, or computer-generated. Toy Story, the first computer-generated feature film ever made, and possibly the greatest ever made. Thank you, Pixar, and thank you, John Lasseter, for giving us this masterpiece of a film. For those who are not familiar with the first one, it's a very simple story. Imagine if once you left your own room right now, and suddenly all the toys you kept came to life and had their own world and own rules to go by. That's the basic premise, but there is more than that than you think. The story centers around a pull-string cowboy doll named Woody, voiced by Academy Award-winning actor Tom Hanks, who is the favorite toy of his owner Andy, till a large spaceman action figure called Buzz Lightyear literally crash lands into his world. Not only is he voiced by Tim Allen of Home Improvement and the Santa Claus trilogy, but he also thinks he's the real deal, until he later learns of his true self in one heartbreaking moment later on. Throughout the film, they learn to get along, appreciate one another, and even become basic friends. Who knew sci-fi and westerns could go so well? Never mind. Anyway, I give it a rating of 5 gold stars. It wouldn't be until after A Bug's Life that a second one was announced. Upon the sight of the first teaser, it threw fans into a whirl and hyped us up as we were for Episode 1 of Star Wars. Well, okay, to a degree. But the thing is, Pixar rarely does follow-ups to their own films, so how could a simple story be continued with a plot that would follow in the spirit of the original? Well, believe it or not, it didn't just follow in the vein of the first, but also went more in depth with the toy world as well. In this one, Woody gets snatched by a toy collector who meets up with others that were obtained, such as a horse, a cowgirl voiced by Joan Cusack, and a prospector voiced by Kelsey Grammer. Not only did it go more deep into the characters, but it also showed how Pixar can take a simple premise and expand on it. It was epic and more emotional than the first, as well as it relied on the theme of what happens when a child outgrows a toy. I give the sequel 5 gold stars as well. For 11 years, fans have debated if there would ever be a third film, and if so, what would the plot be? Entertainment Weekly published an article that said that one plot idea that Disney came up with without Pixar was going to be about Buzz Lightyear having a defect. Buzz would then be shipped to Taiwan to be fixed, but the other toys find out that the toy company is just replacing the broken Buzz toys with new ones, so they ship themselves to Taiwan to rescue him. This script had to be canned when Pixar and Disney made amends. Part of their agreement was not to further develop projects that had been planned during their fallout. And so, after years of waiting, a third film finally went into production. And it's the subject of my review today. Released June 18th, 2010, the movie is Toy Story 3. Now, because the film has just been released, I'm not going to give away the entire plot. Now, on with the review. As their owner Andy prepares to depart for college, his loyal toys find themselves in a daycare where untamed tots with their sticky little fingers do not play nice. So, it's all for one and one for all as they plan their great escape and try and get back to Andy before he goes to college. Now, I know what you're thinking. This movie's gonna suck, right? Well, it is true that third films in a franchise often are awful or aren't as engaging as the first two. But in rare instances, some are really good or even better than the first 2 films that preceded it. Now, in the case of Toy Story 3, it falls under the second category. I mean, my God, is it a wonderful film! It's especially a lot darker than the previous 2, and, well, I even shed a tear at the film's finale. It's true. Characters are fleshed out even more, there is a lot more drama, more action, more characters, more everything! Anyway, on to trivia time. That's the segment of the show where I talk about what went on behind the scenes of the making of the film. The plot of the movie is loosely based on the original treatment for the first Toy Story, which was originally going to star Tinny from John Lasseter's Oscar-winning short Tin Toy from 1988, getting lost at a rest stop and being found by a junk man who throws him into the back of his truck. Tinny meets a ventriloquist dummy and they both decide to stick together, but in the end they end up in a preschool where they'll never get lost or outgrown. Now, in the actual film, the idea of old unused toys being donated to preschool is used, but it's way different than when it was originally conceived, which is actually a lot more realistic. Lee Unkrich, who edited the previous films and co-directed the second, was selected to take over the position of director from John Lasseter. And I have to say, he did a damn good job on his own, and I hope he solely directs more films later on. This is also the first Pixar film to be released in IMAX, and the first Toy Story film to be shot in 3D. And I've got to say that seeing this film in 3D is outstanding, and makes the film a lot more dramatic in a sense. So, if you ever get a chance, pick up a pair of 3D glasses and go see this film in 3D. Okay, now let's talk about the actors and actresses who lent their voice talents to create the characters that appear in the film. Almost everyone from the first two films reprised their roles for this one, including Tom Hanks as Woody, Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear, Joan Cusack as Jessie, Don Rickles and Estelle Harris as Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, R. Lee Ermey as Sarge, Wallace Shawn as Rex, and Pixar's good luck charm John Ratzenberger as Ham. Sadly, Jim Varney doesn't reprise his role as Slinky Dog due to his death from lung cancer in 2000. Instead, he's replaced by comedian Blake Clark, best known for his collaborations with Adam Sandler. And I've got to say, I didn't even notice the voice change. He does a terrific job voicing Slinky as if Jim Varney never died. Also returning from the first two films is John Morris as Andy. I think it's only appropriate that you get the original actor to play the older version of a character from the previous film. Take the Santa Claus films, for instance. And of course, Jodie Benson, best known for playing Ariel, reprises her role as a Barbie doll from Toy Story 2. You know, I just can't picture anyone else for the part. Weird, huh? Anyway, let's talk about the new characters for the film, starting with Barbie's counterpart Ken, played by Michael Keaton, who had previously played the antagonist car Chick Harris in another Pixar film, Cars. I really like how he portrays Ken as an accessory-obsessed man who, despite being a doll, hates being called a girl's toy. Also, his design is based on an actual Ken doll, Animal Lovin' Ken from 1988, which is weird because he shows no love for animals at all. Another character I have to talk about is Lotso Huggin' Bear, played by Ned Beatty. You know, Otis from Superman the movie. I really like how he gives the character a warm and grandpa-like voice and attitude to the character. But trust me, it's all an act. Other characters include Mr. Pricklepants, a thespian actor played by former James Bond, Timothy Dalton, Buttercup the Unicorn played by Jeff Garlin, Stretch the Octopus played by Whoopi Goldberg, Bonnie Hunt as the doll, Dolly, Christian Shaw as Trixie the Triceratops, and longtime Pixar character designer Bud Luckey as Chuckles the Clown. And now for my final thoughts on the film. Overall, Toy Story 3 has to be the best film in the entire franchise. It shows us that no matter how old you get, whether you're in college, have a family, or are a grandparent, that toys from your childhood aren't just toys. They can also be the best friends you ever had. And when you give them up, there is always someone else out there who will love them just as much as you did. I give this film 5 gold stars. But if you think it ends there, think again. Disney and Pixar, apparently not fully ready to say goodbye to the Toy Story gang just yet, have recently announced that they are planning to use the characters in an upcoming short film. To be shown before Cars 2 in theaters next summer, the short would be a part of an effort to find ways to keep the characters alive, according to Toy Story 3 director Lee Unkrich. He also said, for the time being anyway, that there are no plans on making a Toy Story 4. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next review. See you at the movies. Anime movies, that is.
You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.